2 weeks ago today was the established party primary here in Illinois, with Republicans going up against Republicans and Democrats going up against Democrats, costing you, the taxpayer, to have those parties battle it out in the ballot box. But the non-established parties, they determined themselves who's going to be their candidates for office. So yesterday marked the final day that they had to file petitions to get on the ballot, and the only other party, at least that I last checked, to file for statewide office, an entire slate of candidates, is the Libertarian Party. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk, and those party candidates from the Libertarian Party of Illinois includes a U.S. Senate candidate. We'll talk with him in a moment, but you've also got other libertarians that are on the ballot, including the gubernatorial candidates in Scottschluter. I talked with him briefly yesterday, and he talked about the importance of making sure that they have a voice, and how they're likely going to possibly take votes from some of those independent-minded voters who may like, for instance, the idea of having safe access to abortion, but also want to have access to firearms and exercise their Second Amendment rights. Here's Schluter.
And as well as the opposite with the left, because there are plenty of left-wing that don't like J.B. Pritzker and that are very pro-gun, but they just can't stand anything else that the Republicans put out there. So I have the ability to take the goods from either side of the aisle and throw out the rest. And I think that really puts me in a unique position to be able to reach a lot of voters.
So again, that's Scottschluter, the gubernatorial candidate for the Libertarians. But you also have others that have filed. Lieutenant Governor John Phillips for the Libertarians, Treasurer candidate Preston Nelson, Attorney General candidate for the Libertarians Daniel Robin, and Comptroller candidate Deidre McCloskey. There's also a Secretary of State Libertarian candidate, which is going to get kind of interesting because his name is Jesse White. Which you've got Jesse White, the outgoing Democratic Secretary of State, long time. And now you've got another name, Jesse White, getting on the ballot for the Libertarians. So that'll be interesting to watch that. But I wanted to reach out to the U.S. Senate candidate, and he is Bill Redpath, joining us now with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Bill, thanks for taking time. Let's talk about who you are and why you decided to run for U.S. Congress. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Well, thanks for having me. I'm running for the U.S. Senate because I want smaller government. I have been a Libertarian Party member since 1984. Frankly, I became disillusioned with Ronald Reagan during his first term. There's an old saying, so old that nobody uses it anymore in the Libertarian Party, and that is that everybody joins the Libertarian Party because of two issues. Not the same two issues, they're two issues. And I said, that's right. I joined the Libertarian Party in 1984 because of Social Security and the drug war. Reagan was vigorously pursuing the drug war, which I agreed with his economic policies, but I definitely disagreed with that. I have always thought the drug war has done far more harm than good, and it's a violation of individual rights. People should be able to put in their bodies what they want as long as those substances do not cause them to act violently, in my opinion. But the other thing was Social Security. That was my second issue. In 1983, Ronald Reagan propped up the Social Security system instead of looking to accomplish real reform to allow people to have private accounts that they could put the employee portion of FICA money into, the FICA taxes into. And so those were the two issues. But since then, in the intervening 38 years, sad to say, government has just grown and grown, whether it's a Democratic administration or Congress or Republican administration or Congress. And really only the Libertarian Party truly stands for limited government. That's why I'm a member of it, and that's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate.
Bill Redpath with us on Springfield's Morning News. Bill, what's your occupation outside of jumping into the U.S. Senate race here?
I do business valuation work in media and telecommunications. I have been working in that sort of narrow profession, I will admit, since 1985. Previously, I'd worked mainly in the broadcasting industry. I used to be on the air back in my hometown of Findlay, Ohio, and in Bloomington, Indiana, when I attended Indiana University as an undergraduate. I am I'm a financial person essentially, and I have an active CPA license in Illinois. I'm a chartered financial analyst, and I have business valuation designations from the American Society of Appraisers and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants.
So what do you think is going to make you stick out from the Democratic incumbent and the Republican challenger? This essentially is going to be a three-way race.
Yes, well, I think that, first of all, Senator Duckworth is pretty much a standard Democrat. She seems to support all sorts of expansive government programs and more government spending. I think she's pretty much a typical Democrat in that regard. With respect to Kathy Salvi, who won the Republican nomination, I know she's a personal injury attorney, and I've been to her website. I didn't at the time really learn that much about the positions she was going to take, but I will say that I still don't see Republican candidates calling for, say, the Cato Institute's 6.2% plan for Social Security to allow people to, again, put money into private investment accounts. They're not, to some extent they're calling, but they haven't acted to do away with the Federal Department of Education or the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. We have a looming debt crisis in this nation that neither the R's nor the D's have really begun to grapple with, and it's going to get harder to solve our federal government's fiscal problem the longer we wait, the longer we kick the can down the road. I mean, the situation is so pathetic, the Congress can't even end Saturday mail delivery of the U.S. Postal Service to save money. They can't even make that cut. The Libertarian Party will make, if we are elected and come into power, would make substantive cuts to the federal government, simplify the tax system, reduce taxes, and create a situation for greater prosperity for really most people in this nation.
Well, as a third party, though, how do you surmount those obstacles of the things that the Republicans and Democrats have put in front of you as far as ballot access? I mean, they had a long runway of getting basically free media coverage for months now, and here we are in the final months of the election. We're just now hearing about the third party candidates. How do you plan on making headway in Illinois, let alone across the country, with a libertarian platform?
No, it's difficult, but we are the number one minor party in the United States, and that means something. I mean, not necessarily in terms of elected offices, although we do get elected to lower level offices. There are hundreds of libertarians across the nation elected to lower level offices. But I think the role of the Libertarian Party is to speak out on the great issues of the day and present an alternative to the sort of being the true loyal opposition to the incumbent duopoly in this nation. So I'm going to do radio programs. I'm going to go out and speak. I'm going to go out and meet the public. But we also have to lobby, not only take our political message forward, but we need to lobby. We need to work for reduced ballot access barriers and changing the voting system. I mean, I will admit, I think we need to change the voting system in this nation to allow candidates other than Republicans and Democrats to be elected to higher level offices. And that means adoption of ranked choice voting. And that means going back, we used to have multi-member districts in the Illinois legislature years ago, I believe in the Illinois House. And I think that we don't have to have single-member legislative districts. We could have multi-member legislative districts, which would allow more candidates to run, and candidates from different parties. It would mean people have more effective choice at the ballot box, and it would mean a more robust debate on the issues which is badly needed in this state and in this nation.
Bill Redpath, a candidate for U.S. Senate on the Libertarian side. Of course, you still got to possibly get through some challenges to your nominating petitions, and the ballots should be fully set sometime in August, so we'll be watching that closely, and I imagine we'll talk again soon. Greatly appreciate your time this morning. Be safe out there, all right?
Thank you, Greg. Take care. Thank you very much.
It is Springfield's Morning News, now 8:54 from Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply at Culver's West on Wabash. We're hiring all positions, and did we